Hey everybody, Dr. Moose here. So today we're actually going to talk about the lat muscle, or the latissimus dorsi. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's kind of a long muscle that goes kind of all the way from the base of our sacrum here, all the way up into the mid-back, and then it goes over into the shoulder, and finally actually inserts on the anterior side of the arm and the shoulder here. So it can create a lot of dysfunction in the body. You know, swimmers use this a lot when they're pulling through the water. It's a big pulling muscle when we're kind of pulling the arm back down. It also allows us to do some different movements and rotations with the arm, and it stabilizes the back. So it can actually be a muscle that's involved in a number of things, from low back pain to pain in the middle of our back to pain in our shoulders. And so if we're having trouble with it's one of these muscles that can masquerade as a lot of different things. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to talk about kind of some of the things that in Chinese medicine are typically associated with this muscle. And so the meridian that it's actually related to is the spleen meridian. Now in Chinese medicine, the spleen meridian also includes the pancreas, which is responsible for blood sugar. So this muscle can actually weaken when our immune system is too tired or our blood sugar is unstable. So those are two things that we definitely need to look at kind of supporting our body and making sure that we're working on those. So, you know, big things for blood sugar is making sure that we're getting protein in every meal. We're getting healthy fats, we're not, overeating sugar and refined carbohydrates, making sure that we're getting a good amount of fiber, 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day to stabilize blood sugar. So as long as we're having like protein, fat, fiber from fiber from like plants and things like that, that helps to stabilize the blood sugar if you're having any type of carbohydrate or something like that. So making sure that you're eating all of that together at each meal to stabilize the blood sugar. So those are some things we can do now. When blood sugar can also have an effect if we get micronutrient deficient in certain micronutrients, and the big ones really for that are going to be zinc, chromium, and magnesium are kind of the three big ones that actually help to support blood sugar. So magnesium is necessary to process, and magnesium and zinc are necessary to process basically glucose through our whole glucose metabolism and energy metabolism cycle. If we don't have enough of those, your body can't process it effectively, and you'll either wind up with like too much glucose in the body, which then can stimulate an insulin response, and too much insulin over a long period of time, we get insulin resistance, and then that's kind of how we wind up with the whole diabetes and metabolic syndrome that a lot of people are suffering with. And oftentimes it may not be because they're eating too much sugar, oftentimes it is, but a lot of times it can actually be deficiencies in magnesium and zinc that lead to this. Now the other thing is, if we don't have enough chromium actually will help to kind of control the insulin release. And if we don't have enough chromium, oftentimes we can get an exaggerated insulin response in the body, and your body will actually produce too much. And then, when you start to have this exaggerated insulin response and you haven't developed insulin resistance, what happens is your body will actually pull too much of that glucose out of the bloodstream and try to put it into the cells and into the tissues. And then you wind up with like the hypoglycemic effects. If you've ever been called hangry, this may be what's happening as well. As your body is, your blood sugar is coming up, it's created a big insulin response, and your body is just pulling it out really quickly, and then you've got a little bit of low blood sugar, you're going to be irritable, frustrated, shaky, easily agitated, those kind of things, everything that kind of goes along with being hangry. And so we want to make sure that we're working on supporting that whole area as well. Some other nutrients that are super important for blood sugar metabolism are they're kind of B-like vitamins, but inositol and choline are also necessary for proper blood sugar regulation. They also help to support bile function in the gallbladder as well too. And then when we're working on, with the spleen meridian and those kind of things, that actually can, zinc is a great immune system support. There's herbs like echinacea and astragalus and andrographis that can actually help our body kind of stimulate our immune system to kind of ward off like viruses and bacteria. Making sure we're getting whole food forms of vitamin C is actually really important as well too in those areas. So those are also things that can kind of support the immune system response Another thing is the certain organ tissues can also be really helpful. So actually a lot of, you can have glandulars from like spleen and thymus, like we have in our Paleo Energy Power Packs, that actually can have a good support on the organs, because you're getting all the like minerals, amino acids, and things like that are present in the glands as they are. So, if you're at a restaurant, sweetbreads, if you didn't know what those are actually, that's actually thymus. So, a lot of restaurants will actually prepare sweetbreads, and it was something that our ancestors ate a lot too. So that's also something that we can look at, is kind of eating those organs that kind of support that as well. So those are some things that you can do to kind of support the that kind of spleen, pancreas, meridian. Because if you're having unresolved pain in the back, especially if you're getting pain up on the left side here, in this area and down through here, a lot of times that can actually be a little bit of a blood sugar response. Or if you have somebody run their hand down your spine, you get a little bit of a dip right there. That can be another indicator that there's some type of an issue with that meridian. And so that's kind of one of the referred pain patterns. So if you're having a little bit of issue like in the mid-back, more specifically on the left and the right side, there may be a blood sugar or an immune system thing going on related to the spleen meridian. So things to kind of look into with that. Now the emotion that's related to the spleen meridian in Chinese medicine is actually worry. So if you're a chronic worrier, or you've got some things that you're worried about, that can actually stress out the spleen meridian as well too. So making sure you're working with somebody to kind of process through like emotions of worry. The other emotions that are kind of related to that area too are self-esteem. So if you're having some like self-esteem issues, or you're maybe just not feeling confident about yourself or something like that, the spleen meridian can get stressed out by that as well too. So you want to make sure that, again, that you're working with somebody to kind of figure out why those things are happening, kind of balancing that out, making sure you're dealing with those stresses, because those emotions can have an effect on this meridian. It can affect the immune system, it can affect your blood sugar, it can affect a lot of things. So other things to think of in that area, if you're dealing with kind of pain in the back area there, specifically in that left kind of middle upper back area, make sure that you're kind of doing the checklist with things like like what's going on with your stress, what's going on with are you worried, is there some self-doubt things creeping in, are there things that you really should be working on as well, making sure that you're eating enough protein and good fats so you can stabilize that blood sugar. So that's kind of that muscle. That's the lat. Really a great stabilizer, good posture muscle, keeps the shoulders down and back and open. And so so things to kind of think about with that, if you have some unresolved back pain or tightness in the shoulders, especially in that mid back area. So we hope you all find this interesting, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday.